Alright guys, we're gonna be restoring number 19. There's a very large occlusal buccal cavity on this tooth. So the purpose of this video is to show the diagonal layering technique. I'm gonna be doing 4 layers today. As you know, diagonal layers are what I'll be using plastic the whole time actually. And diagonal layering compensates for polymerization shrinkage, but diagonal layering takes it the next step. It compensates not only for polymerization shrinkage, but it respects the high C factor that you'll find on large occlusal composites, on especially permanent molars. So I put a drop of flowable underneath just to make sure I didn't have any voids. And then I'm building up the lingual wall first. Let's go ahead and cure that. And then I'm gonna do buccal, lingual, buccal, lingual. I'm trying to limit the C factor from 5 down to 3, 2 to 4 really, depending on how much of the mesial and distal I involve. So I'll take a little drop of flow again. This time I'm gonna build up the buccal wall. So just enough where I'm not gonna get a void. That's the whole thing for me. So we're gonna do the buccal now. I think I do on average 3 layers. So let's see how much we end up with here, but my concern is to try to make sure there isn't any voids underneath my composite, and then also to make sure I try not to pack the composite, not just to make the layer too thick, but also try to have touching as fewer walls of the prep as possible, again for that C factor. Of course, the other reason to layer is the light cure only penetrates to a certain depth. So if you layer, then you're getting more of a complete cure. Okay. I do a little trick. I wrap over my buccal and kind of onto the tooth. So I'm actually like feather edging it onto this buccal surface. I do that for retention and a better seal. That's cure. Because if I'm going up and over the buccal wall and locking onto the buccal more, then maybe it'll retain better, and I don't know, hopefully less potential for leakage. Great. I'll take flow again. I'm gonna use very little of this now. I never used to even use flow, but I don't know. I just want to make sure I don't have any voids, and then if there's excess, it extrudes out anyway, so. In this case, I think I'm gonna go for my distal wall. I usually don't do distal like wall as a diagonal layer, but let's try it. We go for beautiful restorations, but the 3 critical criteria for any restoration is contacts, occlusion, and marginal seal. So margins, contacts, occlusion, always good to keep that in mind. You might notice I'm using A1D as my composite. It's a bit lighter than our patient's tooth. Now that's intentional. I have a couple of reasons in mind. Number one is the lighter the composite, the better the light will penetrate. So I get a deeper, more thorough cure with the lighter composite. And then the second is just kind of respecting the fact that even the best restoration is still a synthetic, sort of man-made addition to a biologically hostile environment. So if you get like 25 years out of a composite, I mean 30 years is considered incredible. We have like a 10-year-old patient. In 25 years, she's only 35 years old. So then what happens? The restoration will need to be replaced. So if I use a lighter composite than the tooth structure, then the adjacent tooth, then the next dentist will be able to see where the filling actually was. And it's easier for them to remove it or replace it or whatever needs to be done. So I like that, being slightly, when you have a shade matched posterior composite, when you have to replace it, it's so difficult to know where the, your tooth restoration margins are. So last layer. This time, may I have the ball? And I'll take some Bond. Great. So we are almost done with restoring. I still have to polish, and I will check my occlusion. So let me finish this, we'll cure it, and then that'll be the end of the video. So I hope that's helpful, guys. Awesome. Good job, guys. Thanks, Radke. Thanks, Christopher.
Thank you, Doc.
Shout out. Yeah. You got it.